welcome to my church. Spent a lot of time here on Sunday mornings, Sunday nights, and on Wednesday. Let me introduce myself. My name is Roberto Sanchez. I'm a student at Liberty University. I'm pursuing a master's degree in human services counseling with an emphasis on military resiliency. I'm currently in the HSCO 508 Interpersonal Communication. Next slide. Spoken language. The spoken language contains a great amount of communicative information. Speech can refer to things, but it also identifies or classifies the person speaking. This dual function links language to other types of vocal communication systems and means that recognizing speech and recognizing speakers are intertwined. Next slide. One of the books that was used in this class is Bridges, Not Walls by John Stewart. John Stewart in this book talks about communication, how it's continuous, it's complex, it's collateral, and process of verbal and nonverbal meanings making. He also talks about interpersonal, the kind of communication that happens when the people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of the personal. Next slide. Another book that we also used was this one by Madeline Burley Allen. It's simply Listening, the Forgotten Skill. Basically, it's a self-teaching on listening. Next slide. And finally, the third book that we use is one called Why Don't We Listen Better? This book is an excellent book. It provides 33 techniques on how to listen better. Has this cool little thing called the flat brain tango, which is something we want to avoid. And we'll talk more about it as I go through this lesson. The other thing is a talker listen card, the TLC. Excellent way to learn how to listen, to learn how to communicate basically. Next slide. So today, my objectives are, I want to talk about my overarching goal, my background and behavioral blend, my communication barriers, my resource and strategies, and finally, my action plan. Next slide. My overarching goal is to become a better communicator by being more empathetic as a listener and more open as a talker. Burley Allen, he talked about 3 levels of listening. Level 3 is listening in spurts, which is something that we don't want to do. Level 2 is hearing words, but not really listening. Unfortunately, this is where most of us do our listening. I myself do it too. Level 1 is empathetic listening. This is where I want to be in all my listening. Stewart stated that empathetic listening enables you to understand the other person thoroughly and fully. Peterson talks about 2 levels of communication. Level 1 communication gives and receives information and discuss points of view. Level 2 communication goes deeper than words. In order for me to reach level 2, I need to be more open. Other people know who you are as a person. Along with being more open, I need to self-disclose. Stewart defines self-disclosure as revealing to another person how you perceive and how are reacting to the present situation, and giving any information about yourself and your past that is relevant in an understanding of your perception and reaction to the present. Next slide. My background. Well, I'm a 44-year-old Hispanic male. I'm the youngest of my 3 siblings. I'm married to my best friend, and we have 4 children. 3 of our children are adults, 1 is 10 years old. Our relationship with God is our top priority. Now, my career history consists of 4 years in the United States Army, 4 years in the Arizona Department of Corrections, 17 years in the Yuma Police Department, which I am still employed there, and 16 years in the Arizona National Guard, which I am also still employed there. My main influence on my decisions are my family and my military experience. Next slide. As I was growing up, my parents didn't say, "I love you" often. This was one thing that seemed to really affect me, and it affects my communication. Although I know they love me, and they did not say it, and I find myself not saying as much as I should. My choices of making Jesus my Savior, although I have not always walked the right path, I have not strayed too far from Jesus. Since I keep him close to me, he keeps me close to him, and he watches over me. Now, my divorce from my son's mother, I felt like a failure. I did not want to do anything. This event prevented me from being more open with people, which influences my communication and something I need to work on. Tours in Iraq have made me more empathetic and provided me with a desire to help others. This is why I choose to obtain my master's degree in human service counseling with an emphasis on military resiliency. My marriage to my wife, my rededication to Jesus, and my children, these are the things that motivate me to continue to become the best person I can be and to be a better communicator. Next slide. My behavior blend. The behavior blend consists of 4 types. There's the D, the I, the C, and the S. Next slide. During our course, we did our own behavioral blend, and I have the results here. What people expected of me was a steady specialist. This is me, a steady, competent types. And I want to read some parts that are very interesting and seem to be really what I am about. It says the S type, you think people expect you to be more sensitive and submissive. Your humble spirit and quiet demeanor makes you well liked. People like you because you are overbearing or confrontational. It says how others see you. People recognize your dependable attitude and trustworthiness. It talks about how your feelings and thinking. You often feel inadequate and unworthy. You tend to think you should be more security-oriented than most. This means you can be more insecure and not willing to speak out or be noticed in crowds. And it talks about the vision and passion. Your vision and passion is helping others. You sacrifice your time, energy for those needing your service. Most people don't consider your type as a leader, but you can be a great leader. Your type is more laid back and easygoing. You prefer sacrificing and working alongside others. You seem to be the perfect follower. You tend to be the most faithful and loyal follower of all types. It says I respond best to when people who believe in me. It says you are probably the least likely of the types to have conflict because you expect people to appreciate your kind, nice, and caring attitude. You are strongest as a dear friend and obedient follower. You tend to be the best of types at listening. Your uniqueness, or what others may think is your weakness, is that you can be too soft. People think you are very easygoing and that they can take advantage of you. You often disappoint yourself by allowing others to take advantage of your loyalty and dedication. Now it says guard against and warnings. Learn to take risk. Get out of your comfort zone. And this is something that I plan to do. And as I take this class and other classes to obtain my master's degree, this is what I want to do. You relate well to most people because many people are like you. In conclusion, it says you think people expect you to be the nicest and kindest individual possible. Next slide. Some of my communication barriers. One is self-disclosure, which is revealing to another person how you perceive and are reacting to the present situation and giving any information about yourself and your past. That is relevant to an understanding of your perception and react the presence. Another communication barrier is biased listening. I try not to do this, but unfortunately sometimes I do. Biased listening is no listening occurs when we form an opinion about the levels and values of what will be said. Our listening can be biased because of a negative experience we had with a person we are communicating with. Biased listeners tend to distort the messages positively or negatively, often getting so emotionally involved, and listening effectively suffers. Next slide. And there are other barriers that I could talk about. Next slide. My resources and strategies. This information I received from the books that I have shown, Bridges Not Walls and Why Don't We Listen Better. These are the resources I want to use to become a better listener. Next slide. My action plan. Attempt to communicate in the level 2 of communication. Level 2 communication goes deeper than words, and be a level 1 empathetic listener in the 3 levels of listening. And I want to avoid the flat brain tango. I plan to become more open with other people and more open to others. I need to remove all stereotypes and avoid labels and listen with empathy. I want to be effective with all the 33 of the listening better techniques and when to use them. Next slide. My conclusion is, why is communication so important? John Stewart said it best. There's a direct link between the quality of your communication and the quality of your life. Thank you.